I think I accidentally manifested getting this. I don't know, I guess the universe wants me to read these books right now. Hey guys, so today I'm going to be hauling a bunch of books. You can kind of see them right here, I think. Kind of, okay. I am going, okay, so this is a collective book haul. So these are books I've gotten most of these this year. There's only one book that I'm questioning on when I got it. But for the most part, this is for, like, basically the first half of 2020. So, let's get into it. Yes, okay. The first book I have to show you, it's gorgeous. That is the complete poems and short stories of Edgar Allan Poe. Complete tales and poems. This book is, like, insane. Like, it's huge. Close to 1,000 pages. Yeah, basically. I think I accidentally manifested getting this because okay, so it was just like, also this is the book that I was wondering when I got it. I either got this at the end of December or early January, so, you know, around that time, but I don't know what I was looking at, but I wanted to read Edgar Allan Poe really badly. Like, something really inspired me to read his works, and I didn't own anything by him. I didn't have access to anything by him. I just kind of, like, put it in my mind, like, I want to read something by Edgar Allan Poe. And then the next day we went to the bookstore because I got this at Barnes & Noble, and, like, this was there. Like, okay, because I go to the what is it called, the sales section, the clearance section, what is it called? There's, like, a name for it. It's out of my head right now, but this was there. And it was, like, the best thing ever. I was like, okay, manifestation, like, let's go. So I only got this for like $8, which is really good, and which is why I bought it. Okay, so this is from Fall River Publications. So it was this one, and then it was also the Grimm's fairy tales, which are my favorite stories of all time. And I had been looking for the longest time for a huge, just complete collection of the works. Oh, so I had to choose between this one and that one, and I ended up going with this one. Honestly, I could have bought both of them, but, like, two books at this size is too much for me, so now I have this. I have yet to read it. I think it's going to be pretty good. So next, I have two books. I have Flowers in the Attic and Petals on the Wind by V.C. Andrews. These are books that I'm currently reading, so I already finished this one, and then coincidentally out of my TBR jar I picked out this one. I don't know, fate, I guess. I don't know, I guess the universe wants me to read these books right now. I got these in February, I want to say, and I got these at Savers, so they were both like $2.99 each, which is, like, gorgeous. Love it. I think these are books that a lot of people read as little kids. I was kind of, and I feel like, well, not to, like, get too into, like, what I thought about the books, but I feel like reading them now is kind of, I'm more critical of it, and there's a lot that I kind of have an issue with in these books, but they're still enjoyable reads, I guess. If you don't know what this series is about, it's about this perfect family, and tragedy strikes, they go into financial problems. The mom ends up having to contact her parents, who are very rich, and she hasn't spoken to in a long time. And she has to, like, convince her father to put her back in the will. And so they go to their mansion in the middle of nowhere, and the kids have to stay in the attic because if the grandfather finds out that they exist, then somebody's not getting put on the will. It's kind of their story with that. Like I said, I just read this one. I'm going to read this one. It's a different experience reading it now than if I would have probably read it a few years ago. Oh wow, okay. Next I have Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. It's so weird talking about this book. Okay, I watched the movie late last year, along with Great Gatsby, so I got obsessed with those two stories, so I'll talk about it in, like, another video, but I read Great Gatsby first, and then I ended up picking this one up in, like, late February, early March. So here it is. I started reading it, and then it got too heavy for me, and I got really uncomfortable, so I put it down and I started reading this one, but I'm gonna pick this one up again eventually. I really like Nabokov's writing. I really like the way he's like getting there, you know, like, well, yeah. Oh, I don't know how to talk about this book. This is a vintage international version. Wait a minute. I don't know what to say about this book. This is a very famous classic story that a lot of people don't have like a very wrong perception on. Luckily, I did like a lot of research before reading this book and before watching the movie. I didn't know what this book was about before. I thought this was a different story before I actually started researching what the story was about. I did my research. I know a lot about the origins of the story and whatnot. So I'm really liking it, and I'm hoping to pick up more Nabokov in the future. I think he's a really beautiful writer. And I think this is like a really interesting story. Like, if I'm being honest, I think it's interesting to get into the head of Humbert and what he's feeling, because obviously the story is told from the perspective of a necrophile, so. Next I have Macbeth by Shakespeare. I don't know why I looked. I kind of was not into these covers when I first was looking on Amazon. I was like, these are the covers everybody has. They're not really that pretty or anything, but it's the cheapest, and it's kind of growing on me. Like, I'm kind of into it now. But I had to read this one for school. We didn't finish it. We only read like half of it, so I'm gonna finish it. And I know nothing about this story. I wasn't planning on reading Shakespeare this soon, so I don't know how soon I'm gonna get to this. I use a jar to like pick out the books that I want to read. So obviously if I pick this out, I'm gonna read it, but I don't know. This is like that version with all of the little extras and whatnot. So we'll see about it. We'll see. We'll see. I ordered books for funsies. I just wanted to order something. Honestly, no, I needed new things to read, so I ordered books, and I was like in a specific kick for a certain type of book. I bought 4 books from Thrift Books. Obsessed with the website. Well, I was obsessed with the website. So the first one I'm going to show you is this one. It's The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat and Other Clinical Tales by Oliver Sacks. The whole thing, you'll kind of see the general theme of what I wanted. I wanted like psychological books, and I decided to get this one because I wanted one that told stories or had like clinical trials in it. I was trying to find the word for what I wanted. I didn't know what to search up. And then I didn't realize it until now, but that's literally what I wanted. I wanted a book with different clinical trials describing different psychological conditions and stories. So this one is, I think, a pretty popular one. Oliver Sacks is a really good clinical trials writer, so I'm trusting that I'll like this one. I'm trusting that I'll find the stories in this one interesting, or the cases in this one interesting. Next, I have The Science of Evil on Empathy and the Origins of Cruelty by Simon Baron-Cohen. This one is about the lack of empathy in people and how it affects certain psychological conditions such as BPD, psychopathy, narcissism, autism, and Asperger's syndrome. And so I don't know, this one's pretty cool. I've always been interested in empathy and its effects on the human consciousness. I'm really good at pointing out when people have a really bad lack of empathy, and so I thought it'd be cooler to dive into a more scientific look on it. I already started reading it, sort of. I think this one's pretty cool. It has a bunch of stuff at the end, so it has like an empathy test and how to spot 0 degrees of empathy, so like how to tell if somebody has BPD and all this other stuff. And I think self-diagnosis with stuff like that is kind of dangerous. I don't know. I think with sociopaths and psychopaths are way more common than we think, so I think it's like easier to prescribe those. And then I have this one. It's Bodies of Evidence. This one's by Dr. Scott Christiansen. And this is just a basic look over of CSI and crime investigation and forensics and like the origins of it, kind of. I already started reading it. I already started taking notes. I want to start researching my passions more like this. So I got this one. I wanted one that had case studies too. So like it has case studies on certain techniques and whatnot. and trials and whatever. It's very visual, which I like. It's like a textbook basically. I'm gonna warn you though, if you want to get this one, I think a lot of forensic books have these anyways, so like just warning you, but this one does have pictures of dead bodies. They're not that graphic, but they are full resolution, so if you get like weirded out by that stuff and whatnot, I'm just warning you. There are pictures of dead bodies in here, so this book brings me joy. So next I have a book. Ugh, it's so beautiful. Okay, you guys might beg to differ, but that's Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales. So I guess I did eventually end up getting a complete a copy with complete works, but this book is so old and it is gorgeous. Okay, first of all, the cover design, I'm obsessed. I know it's pretty like simple, but it just is so old and I love it. I don't know what story this is for actually. So this is like old. Obviously you can see it's all like wrinkled and cut and whatnot, which is totally fine. I'm so here for it. And that's just what it looks like. I remember looking at it and I thought it was burnt, but I think it's just like worn, like old and worn out. And then let's see what the... Ugh, I'm obsessed. Like, this could literally just be its own thing. This gorgeous green color. This is the Nelson Doubleday edition. Like I said, these are like my favorite stories. I read them a lot more when I was younger, and then I like basically read all the editions I could at the library, but I never thought about owning one. I'm excited to read this. I don't know if I added it to my jar yet, because for the Edgar Allan Poe one, I basically just put Edgar Allan Poe on a paper and I put it in there so that whenever I pick it out, I just read like a handful of the stories. So this book makes me so happy. I have 2 more books to show you guys. I got these today. I was waiting for these because I knew I was going to do this video, and so I forgot to order these last week, which is when my summer reading started, so I needed to wait for these and they finally came today, so I can finally film this video. I have these 2 books, which are my first 2 summer reads for AP Literature next year. The first book I have here is How to Read Literature Like a Professor by Thomas C. Foster. I'm actually excited to read this one because a lot of people started reading it and we had like class or whatever, and people are actually saying they like it, which is a lot, which is like something. Trust me, just trust me. If people at my school like it, then this is a good book. It has like a reading list at the back, and I think that's like the coolest thing ever. I should already start reading this, but I didn't have it, so now I do, and I could try and catch up. This is The Plague by Albert Camus. This is also the second book we're going to read after How to Read Literature Like a Professor. Love the cover design. This is also by Vintage International, which is the publication company for Lolita, which I thought was funny. But I know nothing about this one. I do know more about The Stranger, actually. I know a lot of people like The Stranger, so I'm actually excited for Camus' writing, and I hope it's easy to read. It's this one. Why is my hair like that? What was I saying about this book? I literally... I can't. Okay. I've talked about this book. This is the 3rd time talking about this book because I keep getting cut off. I have no idea what this book's about. I know it's about a plague. That one actually sounds more interesting than this one, not gonna lie. I'm not really into like reading about epidemics a lot, but this one kind of seems like it's gonna read as like a horror almost, and like something like that, so I'm excited, and I love the cover design of this. And that is all. That's all the books. I think 11 books in 5 months, 6 months. I've said this exact same thing 3 times. 6 months is like not that bad considering I'm getting back into reading and I have like all the time in the world right now. Hopefully everything goes well. And I'm here for all these books. I love them. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week with some more book related videos. I know, I love when I do book related content, so bye.